All right, I think we are. I think we are live. Yeah, it would appear that we're live. Let's shoot. We need to. We got to invite some people. We got to get some people in here. Uh, the people will come. The people will come. This is a show that I've ever since I saw the. Got to get things moved around here so I can talk about this properly. This has been a show that I've been looking forward to. Really, ever since I saw the Jubilee thing. Ever since I saw even the initial like base lineup of the very motley crew they put together for that Mehdi Hasan uh, interview debate, whatever you'd call it. I saw this gentleman in a big hat, and I saw him in a three-piece suit and a hat, and immediately my ears kind of pricked up a little bit. You know, I had to. I knew what the young man was going for. I've seen it before many a time, especially in right wing spheres. You see very enthusiastic young men who want to dress exceptionally well and they want to stand out, have a bit of dandyism. So naturally I had to give my thoughts, a little coarse commentary on the whole thing. We're gonna give people just a few moments to come in here. I'm gonna preface this and then we will get started. So for any neophytes, as you know, anybody who isn't catching it live can rewatch it later. There was this. It was like 20 quote far right. Very few of them were actually far right. Um, far right conservatives or Republicans versus Mehdi Hasan on various issues. And I'm not here to analyze the debate. I'm not really, there's a million people doing that already and doing it far better than I could. What I'm really, really interested in is the drip of one particular contestant in the in the debate, in this Jubilee debate. Yo, let's go. I see a fellow friend. What's going on, man? Um, oh, two friends, two friends. Let's go. So yeah, so I saw this distinctive style from a particular young man in this group who didn't end up getting to debate Mehdi like the rest of them until later. And he had a very distinctive look about him. It was very, everybody's been kind of memeing it and giving their commentary on it. It is a very distinctive look. He has this beard with the curled mustache, and he's got this three-piece suit and a tie, which a couple guys in that lineup were wearing that same tie with the stars over the navy and then a red and white stripe. That was a very interesting tie, and I'm still trying to figure out the origins of it. I'm not sure if that's a political affiliation tie, because I created the America First tie, and I do not remember making that one. So that did catch my eye. I was not remiss on the fact that more than one of the chaps in that lineup were wearing the same tie. I don't know if that's like a nationalist tie or like a Republican tie or what the deal is with that tie. If somebody can tell me, I would be very interested to know. What's going on? Hey, what's up? Owen's in here. Let's go. But yeah, so the debate. I'm like I said, I'm not really going to be analyzing the substance of the debate. I really want to get into this guy's outfit. Let me figure out how to add something to the jumbotron here. Is it up here? Come on, there's got to be a way. This should be easier. This should be more straightforward. I want to add a picture of this gentleman in here so we're all looking at the same thing. But either way, um, okay, I can just add it into the comments here and you can take a look. All right, so in the comments there, you can kind of see a picture of this young man that we're analyzing here. So like I said, he's got a really killer look. He's got the beard, very 1800s aristocrat, early 1900s kind of robber baron, railroad oil aura kind of look. Very distinctive eyebrows. I think that's more of a genetic thing, but I think he's very distinctive eyebrows. And of course, he's the only guy there in a three-piece suit. Three-piece suits are just are still far too rare. I mean, we're going through a sartorial renaissance. We're seeing more styles, more distinctive, interesting styles beyond the plain two-button two-piece come around. But I would really love to see more three-pieces, and I do think he takes the dub in the three-piece thing and the choice to go three-piece. I think that was a good choice on his part. He's got pins on both sides, which I really would never recommend. No pocket square and a white shirt. I think if you're going this conservative, like business style with the white shirt and the solid suit, I think you're almost like legally obligated, definitely morally obligated to to do like a white pocket square, maybe even like a puff or a TV fold. Um, this guy could have fixed a lot of his aura with just a white pocket square. I think that would have cleaned things up. He suffers from this is going to be one of my first criticisms, and it's not really a criticism, as I think guys who are getting into style all go through this point of over accessorizing. I was actually talking with Austin Robertson on Instagram about this not too long ago. About kind of the the life cycle of a menswear enthusiast, and how at some point they just realize how many accessories are available to them. They discover eBay and Amazon and subscription services, and they realize just how many accessory options are available to them, and they try to throw it on all at once. So you really see this. He's got I think it's the Iranian, because he said he was Iranian, so it's like the Iranian flag pin, a pin above that one on the left side, and then on his right side, it looks like some kind of American nationalism pin. So, I mean, he's going nuts with the accessories, but it is very peculiar that he didn't choose to do a pocket square. He went with all these accessories. You have the watch chain, which I do like. I think if you're going three-piece, I think why not, go nuts, go with the watch chain, really pop off. I didn't see his footwear, though. I'd be curious to see what shoes he put with this. I've got a theory. It's not a very charitable theory, but I'll get to that at the end. And like I said, we have this tie that a couple guys there were wearing. So I'm not sure the significance of that tie. And of course, he over accessorizes with the tie clip and the vest. Look, if you're going three-piece, you don't need a tie clip. You just don't. The vest is holding the tie in place. You don't need a tie clip and a vest. It's a hat on a hat. Speaking of hats, we're going to get to the hat thing in a second, because the hat thing, I've got a very complicated thesis on the nature of wearing hats with suits in the modern day, because it is a complicated question. But overall, the shirt collar isn't bad. It's just a typical, short point spread collar, pretty typical. The double Windsor is a bit much. I think if he had done a smaller tie knot, if you're going three-piece, you really should play to the three-piece nature of the suit. You don't need to accessorize that much. A pocket square, maybe. A watch chain is fine. It's very tasteful. It's a nice homage, kind of owning the three-piece. But you don't need a big fat tie knot with that. It's too much. That's one of the big critiques I can level at this right here. People expect me to come in here and really just tear this guy to pieces, and I can't. He's putting an effort forward. He is. Oh man, say my signal's giving me a headache. Let me fix this right now. We're gonna fix this right now. There we go. Okay, so now we're good. We should be groovy. So big issue is the like I said, the Okay, we're gonna try this again here, because I guess it just cut out on me. I got to get this. I got to get this signal thing figured out, because for some reason it doesn't want to go through. If it's not going through, I may just have to like. I really hate having to dictate my thoughts and having to write them. As it feels criminal to the live state to have to like write a blog about this, because I really just want to pop off and talk about it. So yeah, we will add the picture of the gentleman again, and we will try to make this work. All right, so yeah, it looks like you guys are coming back. Can you guys hear me? We all good? Can I get any reactions or anything like that to let me know that I'm heard? I need to feel heard. I need to feel seen. If I need to connect to another source of let's see here. Oh shoot, it's gonna mess with me. So tonight might just have to be a little rough. Okay, but people can hear me. Okay, sweet. So we're gonna get on to the hat question. The big question of the night, the hat question. So I like hats. I think they're very cool. I think they're fun. Um, I think they're very stylish, but they are a hard thing to pull off as they are such a distinctive piece as, unlike stuff with like suits and jackets and things like that where something has filled their role or a new version of it has filled their role. Hats really haven't had something to fully fill their role in the formality level and dress style that we're used to seeing with traditional hats. As cool as they always look a little historic or a little out of place because the dress hat has gone largely extinct. It's a very rare species. So whenever you do wear it, it is cool. It is very stylish. I know a lot of guys that wear it very well. I wear them from time to time. I wish Austin had popped back into this one here because he wears a lot of hats and he wears them very well. A lot of very stylish men do. But it is a very distinctive look. And the thing about these Jubilee things, I think Nick Fuentes actually pointed out really well, was you are appealing to a wide audience. You're going into a very wide-reaching mainstream audience. Excuse me, let me wet my whistle here. You are reaching out to a very wide mainstream audience. So I think you kind of have to pick one. If I was giving him advice if I was sitting there in the room with him while he's putting his outfit together, I would tell him to pick one. And I would tell him to pick the three-piece suit. Do the three-piece suit, pick one pin, put a white pocket square, ditch the hat. Ditch the hat. It's too much. You are trying to appeal to people in the middle with your radical ideas. You're already coming to the table. You're already being advertised as a radical. You don't want to look like you're wearing a costume at the same time. This is a mistake a lot of people make. You do have to play to your audience a little bit. If you are trying to make a point to broader people and make a broader point and appeal your issues, you do have to have some appeal to people broadly. So you can't totally look like a caricature, which is kind of what people have been memeing on this guy doing is he kind of looks like an 1800s like mercury merchant. Like he looks like he sells elixirs at a town fair in the Wild West, which is true. I mean, it's a cool look. I do like the look, but the hat just it gives this out of place feel. The beard and the three-piece suit and the hat, it's all a lot. You have to pick one thing to be your distinctive look, and then it becomes drip. That's what makes it drip in this context. The thing that would make it look stylish would be, if he had like a good haircut and the beard and the three-piece suit, people would be saying similar things, but they'd be saying it more of a complimentary way. They'd be saying this kind of aura farming. This guy looks good. He's outdressed Hasan, and he looks very dignified and well. And also, wearing a hat indoors is just a bit much. There's a very rare context where it's really appropriate to wear a hat indoors. I mean, you can technically, but it's a rare context, and nobody else is really wearing a big hat like that. And if you're already wearing the three-piece suit and the beard, you need, like I said, you need one distinctive piece to really accent things. You don't need to be doing every single accessory in your wardrobe because this is your first time on TV, because that's then what it looks like, and that's the kind of message that it gives away is like, this is my first and only time on mainstream content. I've got to pull out all of the stops. So I'm going to wear my hat and my pocket chain and all my pins so that everybody knows everything that I'm about. And and I'm sure he's got a very long laundry list, ism or ist that he believes. He's a neo-reactionary monarch with Rooseveltian sensibilities or something. You know what I'm talking about. You really just, if you want to charm people and have something distinctive going on, pick a piece and let that be the one piece you're really playing to with your style. And then also, like I said, you're debating Hasan. You're debating Mehdi Hasan. Have a good argument, show up, or farm a little bit, and then, strut your time upon the stage. But the hat, especially the hat he wore, I'm going to get into a little bit of the details of the hat because the hat was one of the, I would say it was a weaker choice because it didn't fit the rest of his outfit too. I would still say it's a bit much, even if the hat totally complemented his outfit. His hat, he was wearing a navy suit. His hat was black. It was a black. Everyone would. It's kind of like a cowboy hat looking hat. It's not quite a fedora. It's similar to a fedora, but I wouldn't quite call it a fedora. But most people would. Most people would see the hat and they'd recognize it as a fedora, which isn't really helping your case. It's just, look, the fedora just has a negative. As unfortunate as it is, the term fedora wear just has a negative connotation. It is what it is. It's kind of lasted over from the last kind of internet era. It is what it is. But he's wearing this black, you know, for lack of a better term, fedora looking hat with this really big like leather band on it with straps that almost has a steampunk kind of vibe to it. It's very Western. It's clearly a very Western intentioned hat. And then the underside of the hat is white, which, while that's kind of a neat piece for that hat, that is so distracting from anything you're saying, especially when the camera's close up on the underside of the hat and the top side is getting captured in that, and you're wearing this obnoxious. You really can't be trying to make serious political points while you're wearing a black steampunk looking fedora with a white underbelly, while you have the curled mustache, while you have the beard. As cool as it would be to live in a world where that is the case, where like everybody looks like that and that's like a normal thing. And that's what a lot of guys who dress that way, especially trying to be public facing, who dress that way, are trying to get the point across. Like, well, I'm just a normal guy and I just dress like this. And, but even if that is 100% true, even if that is absolutely true and you dress like that every single day and you live and die by that sense of style, it is very distinctive. And it does distract from anything serious you're trying to say. And it takes anything serious you're trying to say and puts it in the context of a performer. And that's not something you really have a say over. If you're dressed that distinctively, you don't get to decide how people perceive you, unfortunately. And people perceive, even someone with if Nick Fuentes went out and he wore like a bowler hat and a tall, stiff, detachable collar and a cravat and a three-piece like Victorian looking suit, granted, I think it would look really cool. I would love to make that for him. Nick, if you hear this, I will make it for you. But if he did go out there and wear that, if he did go out there and wear that, it would distract from any serious salient point he's trying to make, because it's too much at the end of the day. As cool as it is, as objectively good looking as it is distracting from the point because it is so different. You can get away with wearing a three-piece suit and dressing well and dressing with elegance and being politically active. I think those things go hand in hand if you're a very serious, smart person. But you have to understand taste and you have to understand your audience, because it is actually far less politically effective for you to look like a cosplayer while saying serious salient points than it is for you to look like a schlub while making those same salient points. And that's unfortunate. It just is. You have to deal in the world. If you're dealing in the world of politics, you have to deal in the world that you're in, not the world you'd like it to be. If we were all dealing in the world that we'd like it to be, we'd all be talking like antebellum Southerners and Victorians and strutting around and pulling up to each other's estates on horseback. It's a lovely dream world, but that's not the world that we're in. And strategically speaking, you have to walk that line of imagery and substance. And if your imagery is distracting from your substance, you should dial it back a little bit. And as much as, and like I said, this is coming from somebody who loves accessorizing, who loves, ornate details and thinks things should be more ornate and more detailed. And I think you can get away with that, but you have to do it. You kind of have to spoon feed people. You have to do it in baby steps. If I was in that guy's position on the Jubilee thing, which I think is actually, I'm not saying I should have been there, but it would have been a lot more appropriate, especially if he's going to talk about J6, which like the whole first half of that thing was about like J6ers, like, and you did like reach out to me. I'm a part in J6er. I'm very open about it. Like, why not have me on? I would have loved to debate with Mehdi Hasan about the legality and the morality of the J6ers, because I mean he would have gotten it like from the horse's mouth. I was inside the Capitol. I got pardoned. Like, let me talk to Hasan here. Let me tell him what it was like. Let me tell him about the spirit of the thing. But anyway, if I was in that young man's shoes, because I'm really not trying to beat up on the young guy too much. This is constructive criticism because he clearly has good intentions, right? He clearly wants to dress well. He clearly wants to put his best foot forward, You know, so I don't want to be beaten up on the guy too bad. But if I was in his position, I would have done the 3-piece suit. I would have done a 4-in-hand knot. The 4-in-hand tie knot is just the goated tie knot. Use it every time. Um, Let me think. I would have done like a white TV fold pocket square, just like a crisp line in the chest pocket of the suit. That white to match the shirt. You know, if that was his like nationalist tie or whatever, I would have done the nationalist tie thing. Like I said, in that smaller knot, it's a little more subdued with the white pocket square, white shirt, very subdued. I would have done away with the hat. I would have kept the beard thing. The beard thing looks kind of cool. And I would have picked one pin. I would have picked the American flag, like the American the American flag looking pin. I would have ditched all the Iranian stuff. You're there as the far right conservative. Like, why are you advertising foreign stuff? You know, look, just do the America stuff, play into it a little bit, play it up, and keep your points negotiable. You know, strategically speaking, that's what you would do, image wise. You know, you wouldn't. Don't do the hat. Don't do a million pins. You know, look like you've been there before. That's a big part of dressing well, is acting like you've dressed well before, even if you haven't. And a big part of that is not throwing every accessory on. The guys who have never dressed well before throw every accessory they've got in their closet on. They throw every pin on. I can't tell you how many times I've been to CPAC or AFPAC, and I've seen these guys, as well intentioned as they are, show up trying to look like North Korean generals with every single pin they've ever collected draping all the way down their lapels, um, like some North Korean general stuff, and it's too much, you know. And of course, you know, the guys who want to wear hats. Like I said, I'm pro hat. I think you should try hats. You should try to find a hat that might look good for you if you're into it. It is a bit of a bridge. It is very distinctive. And you kind of have to get used to it being a bit of an odd thing. It might be, you know, especially the first few times wearing it, you are going to get some looks, especially from people who know you. But I think you should try giving it a shot. Try, you know, start small. Try more casually associated hats. You know, try to wear hats casually. A lot of guys make the mistake, who are really into hats, of starting it off with their formal wear because they think they wear it the least, so they can get away with a hat with that. If anything, it makes it look way more obtuse. You know, it makes your formal wear, it makes your like dressing up look way more obtuse. Start wearing hats casually. If you want to create an effortless nature of wearing hats, start exploring your hat styles casually. Seriously. One of the best things you could do, especially in the summertime, get like a linen flat cap. Linen, like 8-panel flat cap. Start wearing it as casually as possible and get a feel for headwear. You know, that's really the way to do it. A lot of guys, when they buy their first suit, they think, oh, well, now I'll experiment with hats because I've gotten a suit. It's like, you don't even know how to wear a suit yet. You're going to wear a hat and a suit? Come on, man. Like, it's not as easy as the 30s gangsters or the cast of Boardwalk Empire makes it look, man. You know, it's not that effortless. If you want to wear a hat effortlessly, start casually and then slowly add it to increasing levels of formality. Because if you're wearing a hat casually, you're going to be wearing it more effortlessly every day, which is, you know, and a lot of guys want to say, like, act like they wear a suit effortlessly every day. They put a hat with it like they're a guy from the 20s or 30s. And that's, you know, with the rare exception, that's just not the case. And nobody believes that's the case. But if you start wearing, like I said, like 8-panel flat caps, you know, straw hats in the summertime, maybe a wool felt hat in the fall and winter, or a wool like 8-panel flat cap, which I'm just a big fan of, you know, in the wintertime. You know, if you start wearing that more casually, more effortlessly, it's actually going to be a lot easier to pull off a more formal brimmed hat with like a suit or something like that. You know, the art of the hat game really is effortlessness, and that's really where a lot of people they overthink it, and they have a very stark misconception of how to wear it without looking like you're wearing a costume, because it's going to stand out every time. But if you can be known for being the guy who wears hats casually and effortlessly, who could take them on and off and carry them with him effortlessly, if you're just known for being a hat wearer, it's going to start with your casual, like everyday attire. So start there if you really want to be a hat guy. Seriously. And that would be the advice I'd give to him. Like I said, I'm not really that upset with this guy. like I say, he gave it a shot. I would, like I said, I would say you're speaking to a lot of normies. You know, if I was on Jubilee, I probably wouldn't have thrown a hat on. You know, I might put a nice three-piece suit together, maybe a tasteful, tie, pocket square. I might do some fun sunglasses. I may or may not, the fashion designer thing, maybe play that up. But I probably wouldn't have done a hat, especially an inside thing. Like people just naturally, like they see a guy wearing a hat inside with a three-piece suit in 2025, especially someone who's like, I'm a right-wing conservative. Like it's just a bit much, and it's doing a lot at the same time. You got to pick a thing. So I do think it's kind of criminal they didn't have a J6er on the panel. Like that is like you had a whole like fourth of this event, which ended up becoming close to half of it about January 6th and Trump's okayness of January 6th. You didn't have one pardon J6er there. Come on, man, come on. And the best part is, if I was sitting next to that guy, I always carry a couple spare like handkerchiefs. I could have given him like a white pocket square to throw in there. Up his fit a little bit on the fly. He could have kept it too, man. I like to see guys who are making an effort. I'd rather people try a little too hard and kind of come back down than not try at all. So I pat the guy in the back. I give him an attaboy. He tried. He tried some stuff that didn't work, but that's all a part of developing one sense of style. I'm not that I think a lot of people were expecting me to come out here and like tear this guy to pieces and like, what the fuck were you thinking? What were you wearing? This, that, and the other. But I really can't. I mean, there was clearly an effort by this young man. He wanted to put an outfit together. He tried a little too hard. He put too many accessories together, a quite literal hat on a hat. And, and I'm sure, there's not a, there's, there's a few people that are giving him a talking to besides me. And yeah, I mean, I can't be too hard on the guy. He made an effort. You know, as far as final sum ups, oh, we have a comment. Let's take a look at the comments here. Oh, that was my photo. Never mind. Total boomer mode. As far as the Jubilee stuff, obviously we're praying for Pine Sap. He got doxxed and fired from his job. Sometimes that is that is a prize you come up to when you gamble. But obviously the guy has his Give Send Go has been exploding, which is awesome. Definitely go donate to his Give Send Go if you can. He's a good guy. He's one of the best he's one of the best in the movement. Absolutely rooting for him. It really is twisted and evil. People that wanted to, and the absolute. I'm going to pop off for a second because I mean, oh my god, the absolute vitriol, the bloodthirsty viciousness I've been seeing from people over Pine Sap's doxing has just been horrible. I say doxing like it was like the guy didn't show his face on a very famous YouTube channel, but it makes it sound so involuntary. But but Pine Sap's firing, all these people coming out and being so vicious and vitriolic and bloodthirsty, saying fascists don't deserve jobs. Which when someone says someone doesn't deserve jobs, they want them to starve to death. They want to starve them to death. Essentially, these people are effectively saying that Pine Sap deserves to starve to death because a lot of them are afraid to call for violence because these are very vicious, hateful people that do these kind of things. And some of them are afraid of the potential legal repercussions of advocating violence publicly. So they'll say, I hope he never gets a job, which the obvious implicit nature of that is that he starves to death. Is they want, and that's the whole thing with the whole fascist term, which I think Pine Sap's reaction was a very instinctual one, and it is a warranted one, honestly. Like the whole thing about that labeling anyone as a fascist is just a way to like snap your fingers and give somebody the death penalty is by assigning them as a fascist effectively. And Pine Sap kind of standing up to that in his way, I mean, and when you're in that moment, I don't know what you're exactly thinking. I can't put myself exactly in his shoes. I can't say I would have done the exact same thing in that moment or I would have done this, that, and the other because I wasn't there in the moment, but the thing is I totally understand how he's feeling as far as really being fed up with every single time you say something along the lines of, yeah, no, democracy isn't my favorite form of government, and I don't worship man-made like stuff like that, which is what these like secular atheist types do. People like Mehdi Hasan, you know, when you say, yeah, no, I don't respect your point of view on any of that, and I don't think you deserve a say. I don't think you're just entitled to a say because you filled out some paperwork and came here. Well, you're a fascist, and I think Pine Sap was trying to say, you know, I don't care, and he was saying it in his way, and unfortunately, you know, it got totally exploded out of the way. But nothing he said was that offensive or wrong. He even said he's a Catholic, and he's one of the most devout that I've ever seen. You know, he really he said he believes that people are entitled to their dignity and their value of life, which is absolutely true. Regardless of your background, regardless of your upbringing, you are entitled to a value of life and a dignity. And he made that point very true. But that wasn't the part anybody took. They took the fascist part, which nobody wants to put into the context of we've been getting called everybody who's right of who's right of like John McCain has been getting called a fascist for years, and we're sick of it. We're tired of it, and to be critical of the nature of the to not worship at the feet of democracy and the man-made constitution, to fear a higher power is all of a sudden evil. You know, I think the people who are calling us fascists are evil. You know, it's and for his life to be destroyed like this is it really is heartbreaking to see, and it is really emboldening to see just how well his Give Send Go has gone. To see that he's being sorted out pretty well, and I'm sure he's gonna find some work hopefully within the the a community of sympathetic people, so that he doesn't have to worry about this again. Because he's a very good dude. I've talked to him a few times. He's a very nice guy. He's a very pious guy, and he spoke from the heart. And God forbid a real human being speak from the heart. You know, maybe it is a little unpolished. Maybe it is a little brash, a little out there. But real human beings should speak their heart every now and again, especially when we've been hearing the same diatribe from people who hate us for years. Eventually, you do gotta get annoyed at that. So I don't think he did anything wrong. I think it was definitely a ballsy move. It was definitely a ballsy move. I'll give him that. But I think he's doing all right, and obviously we're all praying for him. But yeah, so that was the analysis of the Jubilee hack guy. My thoughts on what Pine Sap's going through as well. Just for clarification, Pine Sap is not the Jubilee. For anybody who hasn't seen this video and doesn't know what I'm talking about, who hears this later, Pine Sap is not the Jubilee hat guy. That's not what Pine Sap looks like. Although as when I release suits again, I may dress Pine Sap similarly, though. There's a non-zero chance I will have Pine Sap looking like an oil baron within the year I release my suits. But I'll have every America First or every Groiper looking like an oil baron. Man, it's gonna be so. Dude, I'm looking at the prototype of the three-piece like Regalia Americana suit right now, and I'm just so excited to have this release in pinstripe, in solids, maybe even a window pane or plaid. You never know. Maybe I'll get a little wild with shit. And man, everybody, the AF pack after this gets released is going to look like PT Wumo, baby. It's gonna be nuts, and I can't wait. I'm so excited. Like I'm like a schoolgirl, man. I'm giddy as hell. I cannot wait. Man, it's gonna be nuts. Even this young man who wore the hat, he's gonna have a suit of mine. I can tell. He's a young man who's finding his footing, and once he finds his footing, he's gonna come right to me for his shoes, for his footing, and and to replace that suit he was wearing to the Jubilee thing. But all right, with all that being said, this has been a fun little stream, man. We're getting the studio's still coming together. I'm deciding which trophy animal I should put on the back wall in front of the desk, and I'm getting the cameras and the new mic system put together, as sound quality was one of the real weaknesses of the last era of content around here. So I really want to upgrade the sound quality and the video quality a little bit. So working on that. That can be a little costly. So if you want to support it, go pick out some ties or some shoes or some secondhand stuff from trsartorial.com. That'll help bring the content back, the live content, even faster. But with all that being said, thank you so much to all our viewers here, and thanks so much to the guys who were there in part 1 as well. Some of them didn't cross over, unfortunate, but it is what it is. Oh, we do have one comment. We do have one comment from Texas here. People treat it like a game of Secret Hitler, only liberal or Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Like everyone's definition of fascist is just not liberal. which is really appalling. But yeah, it just goes to show you our enemies are mentally like children. It's not even sporting sometimes. But with that being said, good night, God bless, and take it easy. Thanks.